local food isn't a novel idea, but I do think it's an important one. I grew up on a farm, and I found that my recipes are just simply better when I source my ingredients from someone or somewhere I'm connected to. I'm Ian Knauer. I'm a chef, I'm a writer, I'm a lot of things, but mostly I'm interested in eating fresh local food, which is why I'm here on Lindenhof Farm. Beautiful Lancaster County. I'm going to meet up with Axel, the farmer.
A little disappointing because I only had a step ladder. I never had a real ladder.
But I'm here for the fresh eggs. Wow. Because I'm going to be making pasta carbonara with roasted cherry tomatoes and a ton of herbs. The pasta itself is made with the fresh eggs, and the sauce is also the eggs. So you need really high quality eggs to make this dish. Axel's going to hook us up. Let's go meet him. Axel, so nice to meet you.
Good morning. Good to meet you.
Happy to see your farm. Tell me a little bit about the animals that you raise here.
We raise beef, pork, lamb, and then smaller is the egg layers, the broilers, the turkeys, lots of turkeys for Thanksgiving, ducks and geese.
Do you have a favorite animal?
I think the turkeys are my favorite.
The turkeys are your favorite.
Yeah.
They have personality?
Yes. Oh yeah, they're definitely interesting. Yeah.
Tell me about your egg layers.
We got over 700 egg layers out there in 4 different hoops that we move every day, and that's the key, I think, is movement. Get them on fresh grass 6 days out of the week, so that they always got fresh air, good healthy sunshine, fresh soil. Yeah. And that helps the earth too. It helps the soil for the next.
Sure.
movement.
So they're fertilizing for you.
They're fertilizing.
And they're eating the bugs.
Yep.
Probably the ticks.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got happy chickens.
Exactly.
And you got 700 eggs a day, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Almost 85-90% lay.
Wow. So you eat eggs for breakfast?
Two eggs a day, over easy.
Nice. Will you show them to me?
Sure.
Oh, fantastic.
Good. Do I like to cook, and customers like to ask me that question, how do you prepare something? I say I'm much better. I'm a farmer. I'm outstanding in my field rather than in the kitchen. So yeah, I enjoy throwing stuff on the grill. I can make eggs, keep things simple that way. But yeah, let the customers explore what to do with food that way. We enjoy knowing where the food comes from, influences how we cook, that we can be confident in knowing that it's quality meat and eggs, and that there's nothing added to it from outside, no unknowns about it. It's very clean and it's super fresh. I mean, a lot of this stuff was just the eggs were either collected yesterday, day before. The meat was harvested every week. We harvest the meat. So it's fresh and there's no outside additives to it. It didn't travel very far. It's super close, and that's the fun part about it.
Front and focus, and the past is in the past. You're my future, then my future's looking bright. Like I put you in my schedule every morning, noon, and night. I got everything that I want.
Fields of Lindenhof Farm. We just pulled these layer chickens forward. I'm looking for eggs for that pasta carbonara recipe. It's such a simple recipe that the quality of the ingredients is really important. That's why I'm out here in the heat looking for these eggs. So what breed are these chickens?
These are red sexlings. They're a cross between a Rhode Island red and a white leghorns. I think that they do the best out on pasture.
How many eggs do they lay a day?
Usually one chicken lays 1 egg. But out of 700 chickens, we'll get 650 eggs.
Okay, pretty good.
Yeah.
So what makes these eggs so good? What makes their yolks so golden?
Being outside, the fresh air, the green grass.
This one likes my shoe.
Oh yeah. Healthy soil contributes to healthy grass, and then healthy eggs goes all the way right through.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you on that last one. What was the answer? That was loud in here.
They have a lot to say.
I'm so excited to use these famous golden oaks in my pasta carbonara. Thank you so much for showing me the ropes.
Perfect, thank you, yeah.
Meeting a farmer like Axel Linde from Lindenhof Farm is so inspiring. He's been doing this for so long, he does it the right way, and his eggs are so beautiful that I'm really excited to cook with them. We're gonna make fresh pasta and we're gonna make it with the carbonara sauce. A carbonara sauce is an egg sauce. So we've got egg pasta with egg sauce, fresh pasta carbonara with roasted cherry tomatoes, and a ton of herbs. Let's get started on making the pasta dough from scratch. I've got some local flour here. I'm gonna make a well in the center of the flour, and that's where I'm gonna crack my eggs into. Eggs like these make all the difference in a fresh pasta dough like this. They have these beautiful orange yolks. And I'm gonna start beating these eggs so that they start to pick up that flour. I'm gonna add some salt to the pasta dough. And if we were in Italy, we would add olive oil to this dough. But we're not in Italy, we're in Pennsylvania. And we're coming from a beautiful animal farm, Lindenhof Farm. And the fat that we have from a beautiful animal farm is something like chicken schmaltz, chicken fat. So I'm gonna add some chicken fat to this recipe instead of the traditional olive oil. About 2 tablespoons. And that's just gonna give it an unbelievable richness. It's gonna make this dough really smooth, really easy to work with. And then when you eat it, it's just gonna melt in your mouth. And once the eggs have absorbed most of this flour, I'll start to knead it with the palms of my hands. All right, my egg is no longer running away from me, so I'm gonna switch over to my hands. Sort of gently at first because this is still pretty wet and it hasn't absorbed all the flour that it needs to. So I'm just sort of folding it over itself, gently pushing it away from me, starting to knead it as it turns from liquid into solid dough. Now, once you get a dough and all this flour is absorbed, you'll be able to decide whether you want to add a little more flour or a little more fat. If it's sticking, add a little more flour. If it's not coming together, you can add a little more fat. But this is working really nicely. It's not sticking to me, it's not sticking to the board. It continues to absorb this flour. And it's starting to look like a pasta dough. And it's starting to behave like a pasta dough too. Now you're gonna wanna do this for, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes. You wanna learn to love the process here. You see, as I push this dough away from me, it doesn't stick to me. It doesn't stick to the board anymore. And as I push it away and add some pressure, it starts to pull itself back, right? So like that, sort of goes back like that. That means that I've activated the protein in the flour, which means that we're gonna be able to roll this paper thin without the dough tearing. So this dough is ready to go. It needs to rest for a little while. If we roll it out right now, it's just gonna shrink back. It's gonna do that as we roll it, and we don't want that to happen. So it needs an hour to rest. You can make it a day before and put it in the fridge. That way you can just start cooking. So I'm gonna let this rest for an hour, and I will be back with a rested dough. So I've got my pasta dough. I'm gonna give myself a little room here because I'm gonna roll it out by hand. Now, if you have a pasta maker, a pasta roller, or a pasta rolling attachment for, say, a stand mixer, this is the time to bring it out. If you don't, you can use a rolling pin or a wine bottle or whatever you've got. So I'm gonna use a rolling pin to roll this as thin as I can by hand. And I wanna make sure that my work surface is really well floured. I don't want this pasta to stick. If it sticks, it might tear, which I don't want. I'm gonna flour my rolling pin. I'm gonna flour the pasta dough. So start out by rolling just away from you, and then turn the dough and roll away from you again. If it sticks to your pin, flour your pin a little bit. If it sticks to the board, flour the board a little bit. And every time I roll this out, it rolls and then it gives a little bit. It comes back just a little bit. And I roll it out next time a little more, it comes back a little more. And I want to keep doing this until I can almost see through the dough. This dough is bright yellow because of those egg yolks and because of that chicken fat that I put in it as well. It's really soft to the touch, and that's going to make a really sort of melt in your mouth pasta. One final roll just to let it know who's boss. Give it 30 seconds to rest. Start thinking about the thickness that you want to roll your pasta in. So to cut this dough, I'm going to very lightly roll this dough up like so. I don't want to squish it together because it might stick to itself. So I'm just being as gentle as I can. Now I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut maybe 1/2-inch slices. Again, if you want to go thicker, go thicker. If you want to go thinner, go thinner. Now this is the fun part. We get to unravel them. And then I'll toss them with a little flour. Keep them in a little pile over here on my cutting board until I'm ready to cook them. This pasta is so rich and so thin that it takes about 3 minutes to cook. And now it's time to make the sauce. This sauce is a classic Italian pasta sauce. It's got these wonderful rich egg yolks in it, and it also has bacon. Now we have some beautiful guanciale, which is actually a smoked pork cheek from Lindenhof Farm. So I'm going to use that instead of bacon. I'm going to cut some nice thick slices. Oh, this is beautiful stuff. And then those slices, I'll just cut into little batons. I want them to still have some presence, so I don't want to finely chop this guanciale too much. I'm going to take a garlic clove. This garlic is from Full Circle CSA. And I'm going to smash it. Take that peel off. And this garlic is going to cook in this guanciale as the fat renders. So I'm going to take this over to my stove, put it in a skillet, and get it cooking. This guanciale is so fatty that I don't need to add any fat to the skillet. If you have bacon that's a little leaner, maybe you want to give it a tablespoon of rendered fat or olive oil if that's what you have at home, just to get it going. But this stuff, plenty of fat. My guanciale is ready. I'm going to turn that off and let it cool in the skillet. We'll let that cool, and I'll roast some cherry tomatoes. So I'm going to drizzle these with a little bit of this rendered chicken fat, sprinkle with some salt, and then I'm going to stick them right under the broiler just for a few minutes. It's time to make our sauce. I need a bowl for my eggs. I have the eggs from Lindenhof Farm. I'm going to use a whole egg and a couple of yolks. So I'm going to let these whites, these egg whites, just run through my fingers. That way I don't get any shell in there. And these are the sauce. I want to make sure that the skillet with my guanciale isn't hot anymore, so that when I put these into the skillet, they don't turn into scrambled eggs. The reason is because that hot pasta, as it comes out of the boiling water, is what is going to cook those eggs, and those eggs will coat that pasta in a really lovely way. So I've got eggs in my bowl. I'm going to add some salt to that. And I've got this beautiful pecorino-style cheese from Locust Hollow Sheep Farm. I'm going to grate some of that right into the eggs. We'll put some more on top of the pasta when we plate it, but this will sort of melt into the eggs and coat that pasta as part of that sauce. Give these a whisk. Super rich, deep orange, beautiful stuff. I checked on that pork fat and it's cooled, so now we're ready to go. I'm going to add my beautiful orange eggs and egg yolks and cheese to that pan, whisk it together. Then I'm going to add my pasta to the pasta cooking water, give that about 3 minutes, and then we'll toss it all together. So I'm adding these egg yolks and cheese and a little bit of salt to the fat in this pan. Just give it a whisk so it all comes together. Now I'm going to add my pasta to the pasta cooking water. And I'll give that just a quick stir. Just one stir in the beginning to make sure it doesn't stick to itself. And now we wait 2 to 3 minutes, and then we toss it all together. My pasta's been cooking for 2 to 3 minutes. It's ready to go. I'm going to transfer it from the pasta cooking water to the skillet that has the eggs and that pig fat in there, along with that guanciale. And whatever pasta water comes with the pasta is fine. That'll just become part of the sauce. That's one of the things about cooking intuitively. It's always going to be different every time. And if you're following the recipe to a T, nature or the kitchen might throw you a curveball. So you just have to be ready for it. Just like when you're gathering your ingredients, if you have fennel, use it. If you don't, figure something else out. All right, I've got my plate. I've got my pasta. That egg sauce is just clinging to those noodles in a really lovely sort of velvety way. Make sure I get some of that delicious guanciale in there. And now I'm gonna add those blistered tomatoes from Full Circle CSA. Right on top and sort of all around. And finally, I'm gonna finish this with a little bit of that pecorino style cheese. And some herbs from Nathan at Tiny Toil. Got some basil, some oregano, and a little bit of fresh thyme to finish it all off. This dish is like Italy transported to Pennsylvania. Instead of the olive oil in the pasta, we're using rendered chicken fat. The flour is local. The eggs are beautiful from Lindenhof Farm. That guanciale, smoky, fatty, delicious. Again with the eggs and the sauce. And finally that pecorino style cheese from Locust Hollow Sheep Farm. And those beautiful tomatoes and herbs from our friends at Full Circle CSA and Nathan at Tiny Toil. I cannot wait to dig into this pasta carbonara. I learned a lot today from Axel on the farm. Maybe most importantly, that his decades of experience has brought him a lot of wisdom. He knows how to raise happy animals and he's deeply connected to this land. And when that happens, you end up with delicious food. When visiting local Pennsylvania farms to gather ingredients for my seasonal menu, it's become very clear that it doesn't matter if the ideas that influence my cooking are novel, and they're certainly not convenient. The food just has to be good. So I set out to find some good farms producing good food by good people.